Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is everything I've been asking for and so much more from movies.
Get some snaps in the chat.
Let's just jump straight into it. We don't have to belabor the point. Tyler, I love this movie. This movie's so good. Well,
yeah,
you
I've
love
been
this
telling
movie.
you guys to watch it for like 2.5 weeks.
Really like a week.
And okay. No, I don't know. I definitely think this is a fantastic movie. I mean, it's everything, everywhere, all at once.
It is.
But it is also heartfelt. It's also has the best action that I've seen in a movie in a long time. It is also batshit crazy in the best possible way. There is, again, are we going like full spoilers for this or like how are we feeling?
Yeah, this is a spoiler review. If you haven't seen it yet, like the video and then stop watching.
Just know that we all love this movie and we highly recommend that you go watch it because it's really good. It's also probably best on a big screen and it is wide release now, so go watch it.
Yeah, I saw it in IMAX. It's incredible. There's an action scene where two people are trying to beat up an older woman and both of them have things up their asses.
Facts.
Facts. These are facts. These are things that in a movie. Jenny Slate throws a dog and then there's never a clip where like the dog runs away and is fine.
Not just like throws the dog, like flings it around in the air and puts it in a refrigerator.
And I love dogs, but like also like it you know, I feel like in movies sometimes they're like, oh, the dog's okay, like it's fine.
Right. Yeah.
This movie doesn't care about that because like obviously it's fine.
Because it's a movie.
Because it's a movie.
It's very clearly not a real dog when it's being flung around in the air.
Yeah.
And most importantly, it's a movie.
It's a movie.
It is a movie.
Some would say a film.
Yeah. Jack?
Yeah, honestly, this was the most fun I've had watching a movie in maybe forever. This was such a good time. I was like smiling the whole time. Real great, incredible all around. All the good words. That's what I say for this movie.
We've been, especially you and I, Tyler, we've been belaboring this point for many podcasts, especially on the unscripted or unstructured ones where we just complain about like there are no good modern blockbusters. There are no like where is Back to the Future? Here it is. We've got it. And, you know, it doesn't have the same kind of budget that like Back to the Future did back in the day. And that's why the whole movie takes place in the IRS building, which is crazy. But like, this is exactly what we've been asking for. Like I with some of my coworkers, I've just been reciting lines from Back to the Future 2. The scene where like Marty McFly goes into the 80s diner and he meets up with, you know, the Biff of that time, Griff, and like Griff is just saying the most insane things, and then they go on the hoverboard trip and he's like, McFly, you bozo, hoverboards don't work on water unless you got power. You know, it's just insane, like a cartoon character. That's the same sort of energy that exists in this movie, and this is exactly why I love Back to the Future 2. This is why I love this movie, is because like I think a lot of filmmakers forget that like when they make a movie, they're writing the rules of the movie they're making, if that makes sense. Like they're setting the rules of the universe and they're setting the rules of like what they can and cannot do. Like they are completely in control and they can do whatever they want. In this movie, the Daniels were like, we can do anything we want and we will.
And they did.
And they did.
And A24 was completely okay with that. I mean, A24 is like probably the studio that really like just allows filmmakers to like make films, and I'm really happy they got this made. Let's I guess like talk about the Daniels.
Sure.
How should we start? Because I saw Swiss Army Man, as did you. I think I saw it in theaters in 2016. I think my issue with that film is that it's a little too cynical about itself and about like I think the ending is particularly cynical about like humanity, which isn't a bad thing. I think that's an interesting movie for sure. But the best part about that movie are the sequences in the woods just with Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe. And I feel like this really like their direction really combined everything I want to see in a movie, and then everything that was good in Swiss Army Man. Like it feels like a logical step from that.
Yes.
I'm kind of thinking of I'm trying to think of another filmmaker right now, but like it's like Reservoir Dogs and then Pulp Fiction.
Yes.
For like Tarantino. It's it like really makes sense, and it's just like perfecting elements of the first movie they made, or not the first movie they made, but the first movie I saw. Right.
And I felt similarly where like I did not totally love the ending of Swiss Army Man. I again, for me, like the energy that comes out in those sequences in the woods is what makes that movie like something that that's what makes it worth recommending. Is, you know, the weirdness of like Daniel Radcliffe playing a farting corpse with a penis that is a compass, and he shoots.
That is true. He
shoots things out of his mouth like a machine gun. I just really admire the boldness with which they make films, and like the confidence they have with the decisions that they make, because I would not be confident enough to do the hot dog finger bit, or
the Rakakuni,
which is an all-time great bit.
Yeah. This was the best comedy I think I've ever seen.
It's so funny.
It really is. I was laughing for probably about 85% of the movie. Like, it's really freaking funny.
Yeah, and it's never like forced either. I feel like all of the bits are like really good, and then they also have like weird heart at the end of them. Also, this is just weird. Daniels also directed the Turn Down for What music video, which is just like really funny. But also you watch that music video and you're like, they did.
Yeah, while I was watching this movie, I was like, it actually looks a lot like the Turn Down for What music video. Like the lighting and the cinematography, they have a very specific style, and it is a uniquely digital looking movie.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of filmmakers are like, oh, I tried to make my film look as filmic as possible. You know, we couldn't shoot with film cameras, so we added film grain on top of it to like make it look like the films I used to watch, like a Malick movie.
Yeah.
And the Daniels are just like, no, we're just going to do crazy, silly, weird digital effects that, like, you know, the cracking of the frame, like when Michelle Yeoh's character is splitting into different universes. That's like a distinctly digital effect, and it looks like it. And there's no intention of it being anything else. Let's start at the beginning of the movie just real quick, because I think that the movie jumps in so quickly, and I'm full. It feels like some of those movies that I was referencing a moment ago, like Back to the Future, or you know, some of these 80s movies, where like you just jump right into a character's life, and you get to know everyone within that life, and it's all full of heart, and like they just it's very simple filmmaking, but like they set it up so well and so quick and with so much comedy, and you're just off to the races. Like before they get to the IRS building, I was already in love with every one of these characters.
Totally.
Yeah, I was in from the first shot of the movie where you see him through that like little mirror there.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, particularly for me, because my family also like owns a laundromat, and like the rice cooker music that plays at the beginning is like also my rice cooker music. There were a lot of things, and then like also like Huy Quan is in it, and he was like a big part of my life growing up, and like with Goonies and like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So like all of that just like combined, like really like. Yeah, and even the Joy like kind of looks like my sister. So like there's like a lot of like moments where I'm like, oh, this is like gonna like hit me on an emotional level, and it really did. And like again, it's all thanks to like that beginning part that is just like so. Again, it's not like overly exposition-y. Like obviously it is exposition, but like it's not like too much. I think
that's the thing that I think you're tapping into something that I did want to talk about, which is like it gives you everything you need without feeling forced in that way, because. It's hard to just drop into a situation without doing exposition, and they pretty effectively do it, because instead of just having someone say, this is the situation, these are the characters, this is what's happening, these are the stakes, it's all action. Yeah. And so through that action, and this is like typical, just very basic like screenwriting.
Show, don't tell.
Exactly.
It's like it's the most basic thing, but like a lot of the times it's not how people go about making their scripts.
Right. And like immediately just through the action that the Michelle Yeoh character Evelyn is taking, you can see like what the arc of the movie is going to be. Yeah. And I think one thing about the movie that is sort of interesting is like from the very beginning, I knew exactly where it was going to end, which wasn't a problem. That's not a bad thing. Maybe even a great thing, because I could anticipate then throughout the whole movie, like, okay, we're going to eventually get to the place where Evelyn and Joy can reconnect, can like have this moment together, and where she will develop her love again for her husband. And you know, you kind of you know where it's going to go, but it's just all set up so well.
But the journey is just so much fun. I mean, it's not about the destination you're going to. Like you know you're going to get there, but like again, it's just like the really interesting and funny journey that like they bring into like the middle section of the film.
Yeah. And just talking about like the emotional, we'll bounce around all over the movie, but the ability to have the comedy without sacrificing the heart is the thing about this movie that I think is most difficult to pull off, because they go for the jokes within major emotional sequences, especially towards the last like 30 minutes of the movie where like big fights are taking place, where you have this giant fight of love where Evelyn is basically giving everyone like what they want and what they desire and what will make them happy, and one of those is the Rakakuni thing, and like it's like genuinely heartfelt, but also the funniest thing that you've ever seen in your life. And then you also get the bit with like Jamie Lee Curtis and her in the alternate universe where she's playing the piano with her feet, and like they balance the absurdity with the beauty just so effectively, and it never the comedy never cheapens the emotional stakes, and the emotional stakes are never like too weighty to jump back into a laugh, you know. It really balances well.
Yeah, I think it never like gets too like serious to be like diminish the fact like, oh, here's another joke, here's another visual bit that we got going on, but it also never like goes too long with those bits to be like, oh, this like emotional piece here now feels out of place.
Yeah. The length of scenes, sequences, emotional journeys, all of it is like really well paced.
Yeah, I mean, just on the movie in general, like the structure is like really great, and I think, I mean, there's basically 3 segments. It's everything, everywhere, and then all at once. The first 2 segments literally are like insanely well written and structured, because like those are the title of the segments, and it like literally delivers that. Like the first thing is everything. This is like everything you need to know. This is like the everything bagel. This is like basically everything like that is important to the structure of the film. And then everywhere is literally like a whole segment where like you're literally watching 5 you're watching like 5 universes all like clashing at once, and it's so interesting, and it's done so well that I don't know. It's just like an incredible middle section where there's this rock universe that's like hilarious. There's like the Rakakuni universe that's like really good. There's like the hot dog fingers universe. Then there's the 2 like universes that like are the same at the very beginning of the movie, but they split off as the movie goes along. So like it's basically the beginning universe and the end universe, where like the end universe can still be like normal, but the beginning universe just goes into this crazy weird place in the IRS office. And I don't know, the structure is just really great. And then all at once is just, I think it's just like a cute little like epilogue to the whole movie. But the structure is like fantastic. And again, the second segment is like really long, and then like the third being so short is like so nice. You know, you're like, wow, that's it, and that's a great movie.
I kind of want to just talk about like the stars of the movie really quick.
Yeah, totally. Let's do it.
We'll come back to Michelle Yeoh in a moment. The standout, the breakout, the rebirth of a legend, Huy Quan, who, as we mentioned, played Short Round, and he was in the Goonies, and then he wasn't acting at all for like a long time, not because he didn't want to be, but just because the roles weren't there for him. I cannot believe this story for him as an actor, because this is the part that he gets to play in this movie. This part is the part of a lifetime for any actor, and he just comes out of absolutely nowhere and knocks it out of the park and steals the entire show.
Also, like his roles, like just like he's 3 for 3 right now, because his roles in Goonies and Temple of Doom are like so iconic. Like, because most people are like, whatever happened to that guy?
Yeah,
because like literally that's what I thought when I was growing up and watching it. Like, wow, whatever happened to him? But like now it's like, I mean, it just shows like how, I think this role just shows how charismatic he is as an actor. Like when he is doing like the Alpha Raymond stuff at the very beginning before like the shit hits the fan, but when he just like is that whole sequence with the fanny pack, and he puts like rocks in it, it's like so
eats chapstick,
iconic. Eats chapstick. it's just after Michelle Yeoh punches Jamie Lee Curtis in the face, which is so good. But yeah, that whole sequence. And then it's funny because it's like, you're like, oh, he's like a schlubby guy. And then they put him in like, Fallen Angels, In the Mood for Love, like Wong Kar-wai and shit. And you're like, wow, he's
so
also,
sexy.
Yeah, he's so sexy. He's everything.
Yeah. What a treat for an actor, because like he's going in, especially in the first like hour of the movie, he's playing schlubby version of himself, and then all of a sudden his like head will just drop and then he'll pop back up and he takes his glasses off and now he's cool guy. And like that's like such fun like theater kid energy where you just get to like play and be insane. And like he could pretty much like I don't think there's a universe where like he fails in this movie, because like the part is just so insane.
The part's also well written.
It's really well written.
I mean, it's incredible that he could play like a schlubby guy and then like an action hero and then die as the action hero and then come back as a schlubby guy and be like so insanely like, I don't know. I'm just thinking of that sequence where he's like I think it's during the second segment where he's talking to like Evelyn and he's like, sorry, this is like, it's really sweet. It's just like, it's just like he's like, everyone should just like love each other and be like awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And like,
no more
like,
fighting.
Yeah. And it was just so beautiful because you're like, you love like Alpha Raymond, and then you realize like every Raymond is Alpha Raymond.
Yeah. I said when we got in the car, I'm like, just give him the Oscar now. Just do it. I don't care that they're like, a year away. Just do it. Give it to him now. He deserves it.
I mean, if this movie's like not nominated for stuff, it's literally insane.
It'll be the nail in the coffin for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's already like in the ground.
I think we're gonna storm the Academy if it doesn't get nominated. You heard it here first on the podcast.
The thing is, the Academy's already 6 feet under for me. If this doesn't get nominated, I'm gonna dig it up and then burn it, and then redig it and fucking bury it.
Dude, I love the bit where like it's towards the beginning and they're hiding, and then he's like, follow my lead, and then he runs out of the office. He's like, what's going on? Help me. It's so funny.
And the thing is, the funniest part about it is like, they just look like normal people. So it's just like, he's fantastic. And definitely like, I mean, Michelle Yeoh is the heart of the movie, obviously, but he's like definitely like a close second heart. Cause again, he plays so many different parts in it, and literally in every universe it's a W. Like the Wong Kar-wai universe, let's just call it. Incredible. First of all, very like Fallen Angels. But really, I mean, and then at the end of that sequence, he's like, we're all like rich and shit stuff, but like I'd have been down to just like fucking fold laundry.
I would have loved to spend my life doing laundry and taxes with you.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Wow.
Absolutely.
It's so
I got emotional.
She just like pushes him around like for the beginning of the movie and just like doesn't care about him at all. And she has that moment where she's like, oh my God, I saw my life without you. It was beautiful. I wish you could have seen it. And it's just like, oh, this poor guy. And like the end of her realizing that like he is everything and that she could ask for is just really beautiful. And like I think that's stunning. I think that before we talk about Michelle Yeoh, I think just the genuinely I was welling up for most of the movie. Like every emotional moment really hit for me, because I think two reasons. One, like I think that the movie is like philosophically in line with something that I think is just good, and you can feel that goodness and that warmth just radiate through the whole movie. And then two, the Daniels are just excellent filmmakers, and they know how to film something that is emotional, which is hard to do. And but now we could talk about the actual like emotional center of the movie, and that's Michelle Yeoh and the star of the movie, and like a legend of film, and she's absolutely perfect in this movie. She's pitch perfect. Sometimes you'll watch a movie and the lead is one, sort of just a boring character, a conduit for the audience, and two, the actor is sort of a boring, safe actor. In this movie, that's not the case at all, though. In this movie, it's like she is so dynamic and so interesting, and she has so much heart, and like you could see the years of pain and suffering on her face, and like you could see the stress in her shoulders, and just the small little details like that. And like, oh god, she just looks exhausted in the beginning of this movie.
She's at her breaking point, and like you can really see like this woman is like done.
She's completely and she conveys like the genuine confusion that comes out of a situation like this. There's a moment where she's fighting Jamie Lee Curtis, and she's sort of first jumping into the kung fu powers that she has from the other universe, and like it's in slow motion, and a punch comes her way, and she looks at the punch as she's blocking at it like oh my god, I'm able to do this. And she's able to convey that, which is a small look that, you know, in slow motion is like 3 seconds, but in actual film time it's like half a second to convey that entire emotion. It's really, really dynamic and challenging and amazing. She's an absolute movie star.
And I don't know, absolute movie star in the sense that like she pulls off when she goes to the she's famous universe, like it's just like, you're like, oh yeah, of course she like pulls that off. Like she is a movie star. I also really loved her in the flashbacks. I thought those were some good moments. That was like a nice reoccurring thing that was like so fast and so quick. But again, she, similar to Huy Quan, like Michelle Yeoh plays everything in this. Like she plays her younger self, she plays like older versions of herself, she plays herself with like hot dog hands, and she does it so beautiful. And she sorry, just remember that at one point she jumps on Harry Shum Jr.'s shoulders and then pulls his hair. Like just a concept that like he can just be fully controlled by pulling his hair. It's just
that anyone could be fully controlled, because then later he jumps on her back and she's running, and it's so funny to watch him because he's just like But no, and she's incredible, and she pulls off every role, and it's so, I mean, again, the heart of the movie, it's just like you see her transform into just like, again, every Evelyn. She like by the end she is every Evelyn, and even like the Evelyn that like is on the corner and like flips like a sign, like so it's so good. And again, Michelle Yeoh pulls it off because she's like one of the most incredible actors around. I just think having the ability to be like, okay, if this was like a real small scale intimate relationship movie, she kills it in that aspect of it. If it was like a big time action flick, she killed it there too. If it's a insane comedy, killed it. Sci-fi, killed it. Like whatever genre you wanted to put this movie in, like she would have killed it in that.
That's a great point. Yeah.
And again, she like her performance in Crazy Rich Asians is great. But like in this, because she's like the strict mother in Crazy Rich Asians, but like in this movie, it's just like, it's so nice to just see so many like different things from Michelle Yeoh. And I mean, I guess that's like the part of it that's really cool about the whole movie. Like everyone gets to play against type, because like, it's just like, that's the movie. And yeah, she like kills it in the action sequences. I'm sure she had a stunt double, but still, it's just like, there's this sense of like joy though, that is like gathered as she's like learning how to fight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also just like when she's giving everyone what they need too, like that whole sequence is like really great too. Cause it's just like, I don't know, her face is just so like joyful.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
She genuinely grows in a way that like doesn't feel forced or inauthentic. It doesn't feel like just, you know, the plot of the movie. It really feels like a character is developing in real time. And no universe is too small. Like every single universe, every single version of herself really does come and not only help her get out of like situations where she's fighting with other characters, but also like helps her develop as a person and like really come to some sort of emotional catharsis at the end of the movie. And I think that that's just amazing and so beautiful. And like you said, Jack, like she nails every genre. And I think the action in this movie is so good. And she is obviously like a legendary action star. And so she obviously pulls that off really, really well. These are the movies that we want, you know, these are the kind of blockbuster movies that we want. And like, these are these action scenes are like the things that we don't get out of the Marvel movies.
Right. Yeah.
This is the stuff that we don't see in Fast and Furious.
And like so far, like our two leads are 50.
Yes.
You know?
And Chinese, American, you know, exactly, and
And like it's not the main thing about the movie. No, it's just like an aspect. Like I don't know.
The movie's not like they're Chinese.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's what this is about.
Yeah.
And also in the beginning of the movie, it was funny that everyone was sort of casually racist, just a little bit.
Yeah,
totally. Like she sees Jenny Slate and she's like, "Oh, big nose."
Yeah, yeah.
And then the older guy who's like sort of flirting with him,
Detective Crash Langmore.
Detective Crash Langmore.
Yeah, no, Santa Claus, dude.
Santa Claus,
dude. Santa Claus is in this movie, guys. I was with my friend who hasn't seen anything you should look, but I'm like, does anyone know? Does anyone know that's Santa Claus right there? Brashmore. Fuck you.
But even he's just like, I thought you people were good with counting,
with math.
Yeah, and just everyone's a little casually like racist. Yeah, and then they just swing a dog around. Like the movie is like so insane, and it's just like. It's not going to hold your hand at all.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I respect so much about it. It's just like, all right, we're going on this crazy journey. One thing I was talking to Jack about earlier, before we talk about the Joy character and the Jamie Lee Curtis character also, what I loved about this was like, this felt like, not the way it was directed, because the way it was directed was like uniquely of the Daniels, but like the way it was written feels like something that would just come about if the three of us were just pitching. Yeah. Because like we would do a joke about like, yeah, well, in an alternate universe, all the cattle were killed off. So
holy shit, that just brought me back to that one one night when we were coming home from like a baseball game. We were just doing like, in an alternate universe, this is true.
Yeah.
And it was like the whole car ride home. We were just talking about that shit.
Yeah, and the whole movie has the joy of like. A children's perspective.
Totally. Dude, that's what the like crazy things they have to do in order to skip into other realities is. It's like, what's something just stupid we could do right now? She chugs a whole bottle of orange soda.
Yeah.
They jump on a butt plug. They, like,
and that's
eat chapstick.
And that's what I was talking about earlier also about how like you get to set the rules of your own movie. Like it's like, who cares if the everything bagel is technically a black hole and would suck everyone into it and everyone would die? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like Joy's gonna go into it and then come back out through the power of love. We set the rules. This is our made up world. And like it's just it is the very technical stuff that like allows you to fully fall in and embrace what they're doing. But like the actual like the written story, the silliness of it is like so childlike and so silly and lovely.
Speaking of childlike,
Stephanie
Hsu plays Eleanor Joy. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about her.
She's so awesome in this movie, dude.
She's great.
Really great.
She really, it's so interesting. That whole reveal of her being like the main antagonist of the movie was like
Babatuki or whatever.
Yeah.
Joba Takuki.
Yeah, Joba Takuki.
But I think that name's so funny.
Is really like good because like you see it and you're like, oh, this is going to be like a fun character. And then you see her whole sequence and everything where it's like, what she just like beats up these guards. And it's so much fun. And it's so like that sequence just like sells you on like her in general, but also like the concept of like, oh, she's like, again, we're setting the rules here. And it's like, she can do anything in this. And that's like so cool to have like, again, she's playing like 18 in this, but the actress is actually like 30.
I thought you were gonna say 60.
Yeah, 60. No. It's actually 30.
Everyone's 50 in this movie.
Yeah, but like it's so cool to see like this much power from assuming like 18 in context of the film, or maybe 20. Maybe she's in college. Yeah, 20. Let's just say 20. And it's so just like fun for her to be able to like be in these fun costumes for like 3 seconds.
Right.
And then it just switches. It's
like
just
now I'm Elvis, now I'm a clown.
Yeah. She's the big bad of the movie, and she's significantly younger than the two leads of the movie.
Yeah.
And she is the daughter of the two leads of the movie. And like, again, speaking about how like we know where we're going to have to end up, as soon as that reveal happens, it's like, oh, okay.
This is the whole
because it is very simple, like filmmaking and writing and character development. It's just like, this is a giant metaphor for this core relationship between a mother and a daughter, and how she makes her feel like shit all the time. And you created this monster, and now she hates you, and she's a nihilist, and she wants to destroy everything, and she's coming for you. And like
Alpha Grandpa wants you to kill her.
and Alpha Grandpa.
But also, it also comes from a place where like, where she can't, where Evelyn like can't accept her also as like who she is. You know?
And she also, what I love too is like initially she's like, she's the reason that like my daughter is gay. My daughter has tattoos, and she's placing blame on this like thing that's possessing her daughter rather than like accepting that like
this is her.
Yeah, this is her. This is her doing. And like that's where she ends up coming to at the end of the movie, which was such a beautiful scene. I love the character of Joy. I love the performance also, and I love Becky also. Becky's really funny. But it's just I've always had like a really, really hashtag blessed relationship with my parents. I've never like fought with my parents or anything like that, but still there are times where it's like, you don't totally get along. Your parent is being stubborn and you're being stubborn, and you're basically the same person because you're the same DNA. And so like sometimes you can rub against each other in that way. And that's just such a familiar relationship for everybody that it's hard not to well up. Yeah. In the scenes where those two characters are getting emotional with each other. Especially at the end of the movie where she gives this beautiful speech, Evelyn does, about how like you are getting fat and you do have tattoos, and I hate that, and you never call, and you only come when you have a problem. And so why would I want to be here with you? But still, out of all the places I could be, the only places that I want to be is here with you. And it's just beautiful. And again, they ground all the silliness.
Yeah. And I think she also plays just like Stephanie Hsu, that is. She plays very, again, like young, like trying to figure out your life in your 20s person. Yeah. But also just like a god.
Also a god.
Like, an insane god that
also
is like
the most powerful being in all of the universes.
Yeah. And again, what a role to play. You know?
For all three of these, well, for Jamie Lee Curtis as well. So all four of the main actors. And for the grandpa
and James Hong,
and James Hong, all of the characters in this movie, this is an actor's dream. Yeah. What are we doing this week at work? It's like, okay, I'm playing an action hero. Next week, I'm playing a total schlub. The week after that, I'm doing some other weird variation.
And it's all in the same movie.
And that's such an amazing gift that the Daniels gave to these actors. And you can feel that joy coming from through the performances as well because of that.
Let's talk about Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis is
fucking hilarious
awesome.
In this.
One thing that I have, I really love acting. I wish I was better at it, because then I would probably do it more. Mm-hmm. But one issue I've always had is like I cannot stomach to look at myself on camera, and so I have like a soft spot for whenever an actor is putting themselves in like a unflattering position, and so Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie is like, I used to be like a sex symbol, a legendary beautiful actress. I don't care. I'm going to have a big belly. Yeah. I'm going to have this horrible haircut. I'm going to have a double chin. Yeah. I'm going to look terrible for this whole movie. And that's what the movie calls for. So I have so much respect for that. Yeah. And she nails it. Like, she's so funny in this movie. She gets to do so much, just like all the other actors do. And she gets to be like this weird monster. Yeah. Like, she's hunching around in the IRS building. She also gets to have like this,
a professional wrestler.
Sick,
yeah. Downs like a coconut water or something.
And again, like how like we were talking about how like opportunities for Chinese actors are not very, very strong in Hollywood, but also for like women of Jamie Lee Curtis's age and stature in the industry.
Thanks to people like Tyler.
That's very true. But like,
you listen to the pod.
But like, how many movies would someone like Jamie Lee Curtis get to do like an action scene like this? You know, exactly. And that's this is sort of this is like the other end of the spectrum of like diversity that like no one talks about. You know, this is important as well.
And also, I think it's really cool that she is so down. Like, you can tell because she's like in scenes where she doesn't have lines. Yeah. Like, she's so down to be a part of
standing there.
Yeah. She's so down to be a part of the ensemble. You know what I mean? And that's what this movie like really has. And like, I want to talk about for a second with Jamie Lee Curtis, because it's like, this movie literally does have an ensemble. Like, most movies don't. Most movies, like, you would like see like one guard at the beginning, and then at the end they fight another guard that could be the same guard, but they don't do it because they're just like, oh, we'll just hire another actor. But this, it's like the same guards are all the way through, the same ensemble is all the way through. And when you're dealing with like a multiverse thing, like that's super, super dope.
Yeah.
That it's just like they're just reoccurring ensemble members that come in, and it's like really fun. And it's just like, oh, sweet. Like, there's that guy from the beginning. Like, it's like you're watching a play almost.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, obviously, like Jenny Slate's also in this movie, and like she's a part of the ensemble too, but she like can't, like, it's very clear that she can't be in the ensemble scenes. She's always like basically in a scene with her and Michelle Yeoh. Yeah. That's basically it. And she's like never in the background. But again, the rest of the ensemble is like in it, and it's really cool. And again, there's like a very memorable ensemble members, where there's that one guy who like in one universe he's like a businessman with like a sex dungeon in his office. Yeah. And then like I think Michelle Yeoh like slaps his ass. Like, and that's what like gets him off. And like that's his love scene. Yeah.
There's so many of the good bits in this movie. Yeah. I just want to talk about a couple of the ones we talked about. The one that like really killed me was the cattle died or were all killed off in my universe. So like cream cheese and half is that's so exciting to me. That's so funny. Jack, you mentioned where he's like, follow my lead. Oh God, what's going on? What were some other bits that like really had you like slapping your knees during this movie?
Just at like the very beginning when like he's like, I put the laundry upstairs, they're happier up there. And they like they go and they find the laundry, has the googly eyes on. He's like, see, happier.
Yeah, most things with James Hong I thought was like really funny.
Yeah.
I just love how like he's like this like, I love that at one point he like is in a mech suit. Like it's just so good.
And a mech suit that like, and whenever they do any of the sci-fi stuff that is like so homemade, and like charmingly simple, you know?
It feels like an episode of Community. Really,
he's got like a calculator on the back of his like wheelchair thing.
So sick. Also, sorry, the scene where he's gonna kill his granddaughter is also really just really funny. They're like, no, wait, no, don't. It's like, why does Grandpa have a gun?
The Ratatouille, whatever.
Ratatouille
is one of my favorite bits that I think's been in anything ever, because it started off as just like a verbal joke that they said when she was explaining what happened, and they turned it into like an actual part of the film in an actual universe where this guy is controlled by a raccoon.
I love the moment too where he's in the kitchen, he's like, I couldn't have done this without you, Ratatouille, and then he turns around and he's like, you can't tell anyone, and then Ratatouille starts controlling him to kill her.
Yeah.
So good. Man, so good.
And I think one of the funniest parts about that bit in general is like there's a lot of Ratatouille stuff all the time because it is an absurd thing. But like the idea that like the raccoon clearly doesn't fit under the hat is like so funny to me.
It's a giant raccoon.
It's just a giant raccoon. It's like a full-size puppet raccoon, which is cool too.
Yeah.
I'm so glad it was a puppet. And yeah, that whole like, I mean, that whole sequence, like the climax to that scene where like Harry Shum Jr. is just like jumping towards the truck. I mean, I think that really sums up like the whole movie because it's like really emotionally resonant for some reason, but it's also the weirdest thing you've ever seen in your life.
And that segues to what I want to talk about also, which is just like sort of the themes, the moral, like philosophical implications of the movie, because like that's the biggest thing that like made me well up was like the Alpha Joy or whatever you want to call her, the what's her, the Jobu Tapaki or whatever.
Jojo Tapuki.
Yeah, she's
you
like,
can say whatever you want. You can make up whatever you want.
She is just this complete encapsulation of like internet nihilism. It's like Rick and Morty nihilism, where it's like there's infinite universes, so who cares?
Yeah,
and like
nothing matters.
And that argument has never held any water to me, because like what the movie ultimately comes down to, and what I've always believed as well, is like right, nothing matters. That's why every little thing matters. Yeah. That's why every small detail matters, and every life is important, and every like decision you make is important because it all is. And I think that that's just so beautiful and refreshing for a movie like this, especially coming after Swiss Army Man, which, you know, you said was a little bit more cynical. I think that this shows a level of sort of philosophical growth and is again, I think, productive, because I'm getting really tired of looking at memes of like a crying face with a happy mask over it, stuff like that, where it's like, oh my God, the world is hell. It's like, yeah, let's fix it. And this movie is like, hey, you know how we fix it? Love. And you could call that corny, you could call that whatever you want, but I think that that's beautiful. And so I think that the Daniels made a movie that is like philosophically just important. I think that really cements this as like a 5-star movie for me.
Yeah, totally. Same here. I will say also, just briefly on Swiss Army Man, I don't think necessarily like that is like the Daniels philosophy just in general. And I mean, who knows? Who am I to say? But like, I also think like that specific ending is the story they were telling.
For sure.
And like, I feel like in this one, they're telling a different story. And it's like beautiful to see filmmakers tell different stories, because also what we say about on this podcast a lot is like, man, like I'm kind of tired of filmmakers making the same movie over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's like, the beautiful part about the Daniels in this is like, they really made 2 really different movies.
Yeah.
That are really successful in their own ways.
Yeah, it's awesome. Make 2 different philosophical arguments and then let them just live in your IMDb and fight it out.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
Exactly.
There's a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. that I say all the time that is like, even if the world was ended tomorrow, I would still plant my tree. And like, I feel like that's what this movie is in a way, where it's like, yeah, like nothing matters, but like, let's be good people while we're here and like do good things, because like maybe that will matter.
Be kind.
Be kind.
Man,
no more fighting.
What a beautiful movie. Do you guys have anything else that you want to say? I mean, there's so much to say, but
it's 5 stars.
5 stars for Jack. 5 stars for Tyler. 5 stars for me.
Not that we ever rate movies.
No, but like it is.
Yeah, it's perfect in our eyes.
Yeah.
I also want to just say, like, I think that whole hot dog hand thing was so weird, but it ends so beautifully with like Jamie Lee Curtis and like it's
playing
like
the piano with her feet.
It's just beautiful. It's like so cute. And again, like those sequences in the middle really sum up what this movie is. It's like, again, it's just like these crazy ideas, and then they ground them in such like a real way that like you believe like, oh, this guy actually cares about this raccoon.
Yeah.
That's been like helping him like cook. And then like, it's like, oh, like Evelyn actually cares about like this IRS.
She does actually love her.
Yeah. She does actually love her. Exactly. And it's just like, and like, even like those sequences where they move from Raymond, they go to the IRS like person, like played by Jamie Lee Curtis. And there's just like these moments where like Evelyn has these like beautiful, like life altering connections with them. And you're like, wow, like this actually works. And I never thought it would happen again, but like it doesn't, it feels so real in a weird way. And it's like so absurd still, but it like fits, and it's beautiful.
Hell of a movie, dude.
Yeah,
it's everything we've been asking for and so much more, and all at once, and
everywhere
and I'm really excited to see where the Daniels go after this, because it's been a while since Swiss Army Man. I wonder how long it'll take to make the next movie. I wonder what they're interested in, what kind of story they want to tell next, because they have the strangest and most unique perspective in the industry. So cheers.
Is it weird to say that I don't like in some weird way, I'm just satisfied right now.
Yeah.
Like they don't even need to make anything else.
It's like yeah, Bong Joon-ho made Parasite. It's like, you did it.
You did it. You're done.
Daniels made this movie, and it's like, you did it.
Yeah, exactly.
You nailed what you are best at. Yeah. And maybe what they make next is going to even be better. I don't know. We'll find out. But
this is the 3rd highest rated film all time by the SI system, by the SI scale.
Even I came out of the movie and I was like, that was excellent, but it can't be a 5-star movie because there can't be that many 5-star movies, right? Yeah. That are coming out like right now. Because we just saw Drive My Car, and like for me that was like a nearly perfect movie, and like it's like the last 2 movies I watched in theater. Oh, 2 of 3. I watched Morbius.
Oh yeah, well that doesn't count.
2 of the last
that's
3
actually
movies.
Not a movie.
No, 2 of the last 3 movies that I watched are like nearly perfect movies. Like that's impossible. So I was trying to, in my head, go like, all right, well it's a little long, you know, towards the end. Like it sort of belabors the same point a little bit. And I was trying to like go through and like, this bit did. But then I was like, what am I doing? I love this movie. Why am I trying to be an asshole? Allow love into your heart. You know, stop being so cold and cynical and nihilistic and allow love into your heart and enjoy the absurdity. This was an awesome movie. It was a lot of fun to talk about it with you guys. Hopefully people listening to this podcast go out and watch it. It is it's available wide release now. So it, you know, should be near a theater or at a theater near you.
Find a friend who works at a theater and then you can see it for free.
And then you can see it for free. That knocks every movie about a 0.5 star up for me.
Yeah. So this one's 5.5 stars.
Yeah. All right. This has been the Nothing Notable podcast. I've been Daniel. That's been Tyler. That's been Jack. That's right. I did it for you guys.
Whoa.
And in an alternate universe, you're liking and subscribing after listening to this. But in this one, you're probably not. And that's okay. I still love you. Have a nice day.